I don't think there's an adult, and probably maybe even teenagers face the same thing in the world at the moment, that haven't in some way, shape or form felt like there is more to do than time available. And herein lies the challenge that we have when it comes to a really important topic called work-life balance. Many clients struggle with this idea of how do I balance all the competing demands that happen in my world. And I suppose as a starting point, it's important to notice that work-life balance is an illusion. It is something that is a challenge and a struggle for many of us. And the more we try and balance things out, the harder it will become. In the beginning of COVID, when everybody was working from home, I did a research project called Where To From Here. And the levels of burnout for the people that I interviewed were off the charts. People that were struggling with boundaries, with trying to fit in all the demands of having children at home and competing deadlines at work and spouses and all sorts of things that go on in our lives. And then there was a handful of people, a small group of people that were not facing burnout. And I became very curious about what was it that they were doing that was different. And they never spoke about the idea of balance, of trying to balance all these competing demands. They lived in a world of work-life integration, where work was naturally a part of their life and they were putting it together in a way that worked well for them. And so today I'm going to talk a little bit about the illusion of work-life balance and the opportunity for work-life integration. And I encourage you to notice your own belief systems, your own ideas, your own fears that come up when we speak about this. Work-life balance, I'm a fan of saying, is a statement that always strikes me as quite comical. Because the very nature of work-life balance, I always ask the question, so do you not live at work? And if my work is taking me away from my life, well then there is something that is challenging in that. And in this starts to lie the sort of idea that many of us are split between the demands of what we should be doing in our life. When I am at work, I feel guilty because I should be doing things that I want to do at home, or with my children, or with my partner, or with the admin. And when I'm at home, I feel like I should be doing work. And so the split of what do I prioritize and what do I spend time on, driven by all the shoulds in our life, really breeds a sort of sense of disempowerment and guilt that drives many of the choices that we make. When we live in a work-life balance idea, we try and compartmentalize things. We try and put things into their boxes and say, this is work time, this is play time, this is this time. And most people end up with the story, I have no me time. And so that goes last on the list of all the compartments that we have. I do not dismiss the challenges of all these competing priorities. It is more the philosophy of how we approach these competing priorities that is important. If you are a leader, clock watching does not create work-life balance scenarios for people. Giving permission for people to manage their time in a way that works well for them in their life, being able to fit everything in a way that's harmonious, actually empowers them to do better work and to be more well in themselves in their approach to work. If you're lucky enough to work for a leader that gives you permission to take responsibility for your life and your work and your time, then use it. If you work in an environment where there isn't, you may need to sit down and start looking at how you contract and set boundaries and take care of yourself in that environment. But all of this comes back to putting yourself at the center of your world, of saying, this is me and this is my time and this is my contracts in the world. These are the things that I've agreed to. One of the challenges is if you're a people pleaser, you often say yes to more than you have time to do. We're not good with setting boundaries, managing deliverables. And so often we end up sacrificing ourselves for commitments we've made. The ability to set healthy boundaries and to be clear about how much time you have available is at the heart of personal power in your life. Time is not something that is trapping you. Time is a tool that you have to dedicate to what you want to do in your day and your life. Work is part of what you want to do. You signed that contract. You agreed to that. You get rewarded for that in many ways. So noticing for yourself, what is it that you need to do so that you can start to say, this is my time and this is how I want to manage it. That is a certain level of permission and adulthood that many of us don't have available to us. I encourage you today to sit down and write down everything you've agreed to do. And notice, is that possible firstly? If not, go and recontract with the people that you've agreed that with. And then the agreements you've made, the contracts you've made, look at the day and the time in your diary and schedule your time to work for you. When you put yourself at the center of your life, then your entire day is me time. And that includes putting in place for rest, for self-care, for things that fill you up. Time is a great equalizer. It is something that we all have exactly the same amount of in a day. What I choose to do with my time sets me up for the life that I'm living. And you get to choose what you're going to do with your time today. Here's to your journey of putting yourself at the center of your life and finding a way to flow with time and responsibility so that it's good for you. Sending lots of love. Namaste.